Welcome everybody to the Acolyte review. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing the Acolyte Star Wars series overall. The series finale just dropped last night, and just want to give my thoughts about it. Now, before I go furthermore into this review, I will say that this show, The Acolyte, is not for the hardcore fanboys, but that being said, I strongly recommend that you watch this video by Freddie Prinze Jr., who's the voice of Kanan in Star Wars Rebels. He does this piece on a podcast where he gets a little heated, but you know, the fanboys can get you heated sometimes with all the hate comments, and God knows every character has gotten some hate from the Star Wars fans. It's a very toxic fan base. But he explains, from the words of Lord Lucas himself, the creator of our favorite franchise, how the Force works. And if you view any story through that looking glass, you're going to know how the story's going to go. And yeah, I recommend you pause this video and go watch it real quick. Now, a little background on the Acolyte. The show takes place at the end of the High Republic era, about 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, Episode 1, with little Anakin, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, that we all know and love. So, 100 years before that. All right, let's get into it. Plot and character analysis. Some key plot points I want to dive into is from the very first episode, right off the bat, during this golden age of the High Republic, where we see the Jedi that we know and love are not invincible. We have this threat, this unknown threat, come out of the woods and takes on Carrie-Anne Moss, one of my favorite actors, playing this amazing role, and takes her out using her moral high grounds against her. And it's so hard to watch. And to be honest, I hated that scene at first because I thought, that's all we're going to get of Carrie-Anne Moss? Like, just that one scene and you murk her right out the gate? But once I learned that we got more of her in the future, and rewatching it again, that scene perfectly set the tone for the plot and the rest of the show. One of my favorite characters in this series is Chimera, aka the Stranger, aka Darth Thirst Trap online. His character has been so cool to watch, from his deceiving character that we see in the beginning of the first episode to revealing himself as this Sith Lord. Probably one of my new favorite Sith to date. His raw fighting style, going between the single-use saber to the double-use saber. I mean, he's just cutting through all these Jedi Knights like they're nothing. The way he scares May into doing his bidding and dirty work for him, and then seducing Osha into becoming his student, it's just so Sith-like, just always looking for the next student, always looking for the next best successor. Another character that I loved, absolutely loved, was Master Soul, the poster boy, the Jedi at first, and then you see that his morals are tested throughout the show, and seeing his bad decisions come to some very heavy consequences and his own demise. Shout out to the actor that played him, Lee Jung-jae. I hope I'm saying that right. I also hope he continues to do more work. The fact that he learned English for this role is amazingly impressive, and just show his level of commitment to this character and to this franchise, regardless of what you think about the show. Like, huge props to you, sir. All right, visuals and special effects. I thought the visuals absolutely carried this show. Loved seeing this universe in the High Republic era. It's kind of like a Star Wars period piece, which we've seen in a few other shows, but still within the Skywalker saga, so it was really cool to just see what this world looked like before the world of Skywalkers. The wardrobe and the sets were all spectacular. All the fights were very entertaining and very well choreographed, in my opinion, with lightsabers and without lightsabers. I mean, I thought the martial arts team was amazing. Like, they killed it. Love the look of the sabers in this series. Finally seeing some more yellow saber wielding Jedis was so cool. I think the only time we'd seen one was with Rey in Rise of Skywalker. Very cool saber concept with Master Venestra's whip lightsaber, which I've never seen anything like that before. I thought it was cool as hell, and then I already said this before, I loved Chimera's saber, how he could just interlock single saber to dual sabers instantaneously. Like, it just added to his character more, of making him more unpredictable. And then another favorite part of his look is his sensory deprivation helmet. It's so creepy, and it's just Sith as hell. But all that being said, as amazing as this show looked, this show had a very high budget of $180 million. I honestly don't see where a lot of that went. Like, it looked great, but $180 million worth? Absolutely not. Sorry. My favorite visual throughout this entire series was during the series finale, when Osha, I don't even know how to describe it, but just force bleeds the Kyber crystal to becoming red, showing her final transition into the dark side. We've never seen anything like that before, at least I've never seen anything like that before, especially in a live action piece. And just the symbolism of that was just so cool to see, going from the blue to the red. Themes and messages. The themes and the messages of the show were the main reasons I kept watching the show, honestly. I am a Star Wars fan, but at the end of the day, it's like, what kind of story are we telling? And the themes and messages of this, I thought, were very strong. Like I said before, watching this show with the mindset of the Force being the main theme and decision maker of the story made me like this show way more than I thought it would. The theme of power was so well conveyed in the show, mainly the fear of losing that power. Throughout this series, we saw both sides of the Force fear the power of their counterparts. What could happen if the power of the Jedi is unchecked? How the power of the Sith or the Witch Coven could overwhelm or overpower the strength of the Jedi. When Chimera took all those Jedi on, he did it terrifyingly with such ease, but yet he was barely strong enough to save himself when Osha overpowered him while wearing his sensory deprivation helmet. One of my favorite messages in the show is that good people, like the Jedi, can do bad things. Anakin wasn't the first Jedi to go bad. And these powerful Jedi that we all know and love are capable of making mistakes and not always being the good little Boy Scouts, which leads me to another one of my favorite messages. Is lying to someone the right thing to do? Even if you're trying to save them pain, or are you just delaying the inevitable? In the end, the truth always finds a way, and denying someone that truth can cause more harm than good when the lie was originally told. Once Osha learned the truth about her past from her master's soul, she became consumed with hate and rage, and it led to Saul's demise, which was heartbreaking to watch. I mean, it's the stuff of Greek tragedies right there. Final thoughts. Was this show perfect? Absolutely not. It's full of plot holes from the common Star Wars fan could see and poke out and poke holes in for days. And you could tell this because the show was written and made by people that necessarily aren't big Star Wars fans or that are huge into the lore. But that necessarily isn't a bad thing. To me, this was a huge breath of fresh air getting away from the Skywalker saga. I mean, we have this galaxy full of millions and billions of peoples and several planets and systems, and we're following this one family. I mean, we can tell some more stories. Was this the worst show in the Star Wars universe? Most people will say yes, but again, this show tried new things, and I think it was successful in doing so, but unfortunately, with most Star Wars fans, if you change things or try things, you are destroying the canon. It's not Star Wars. To all that, I say, these are fictional characters. Space wizards, sci-fi characters, fantasy, created for children. Children. As Freddie says in that video I told you to watch, you're just mad that the franchise isn't growing with you. And I was in that same boat for years. I hated the new stuff because it wasn't like the stuff that I knew and grew up with, but at the same time, it's changing with the times, and so do you. I hate to say, you can still love your old stuff, but don't shit on the new stuff. It's not made for you. Like most fans that I know of any franchise, they love when new fans come in. And any other franchise, especially Star Wars, I see people gatekeeping it so much and just are so hateful to anything new. And it's not surprising that these shows are timid to try anything new because the fans shit on it. So again, I tip my hat to this show for trying new things. I'm not going to sit here and shit on this show like so many fanboys are doing right now. I love Star Wars. Now, I'm not a huge fan of every single bit of content that was created, but The Acolyte was entertaining, and it's exciting to see where future projects can go. Now, before I give my rating on the show, I want to compare it to some other shows that I love. The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka are some of my favorite live-action shows in this franchise. That being said, I'm going to give The Acolyte a 6.5 out of 10. I didn't love it, and I didn't hate it either. It wasn't one of my favorite shows. I would love to see another season, but I'm not going to lose sleep if we don't. I could totally be happy with it ending right here. But I want to hear y'all's comments and your points and reviews in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.